As we journey through life, we often find that the most valuable lessons come not from what we gain, but from what we choose to leave behind. Have you ever walked into someone's home and instantly felt a shift in the air, a heaviness, a tension that you can't quite place? Or maybe you've left a visit feeling drained, like your energy had been siphoned away, and all you were left with was an overwhelming sense of discontent. Not all doors are meant to be opened. Some are gateways to places that rob us of our peace. And some people's homes are places where our time, energy, and spirit are taken for granted. As we get older, it becomes even clearer that protecting our inner peace is one of the most important choices we can make. In today's video, we'll explore 4 types of homes you should avoid, no matter how free you are. You'll learn how toxic relationships can sneak up on us, draining us slowly but surely, and how ancient wisdom from Stoicism and Buddhism can guide us in making better decisions about where we spend our time and energy. Stick around until the end, where I'll share a powerful lesson that might just change the way you approach your relationships forever. 1. The house where you are not truly welcome. There are places where the door may be open, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should walk through it. Many people have found themselves in a situation where they could sense they were not genuinely wanted. The atmosphere is heavy with unspoken tension. The conversation feels forced, and the smiles on people's faces seem hollow. It's as if you're an outsider in a space where you were invited not out of affection, but merely out of obligation. Buddhism teaches us that everything, people, places, and interactions, carries its own energy. When you enter a home or a space where you are not truly welcome, that negative energy can weigh on you, leaving you drained instead of uplifted. You may find yourself questioning why you even showed up in the first place. Even the most powerful individuals, who are often surrounded by admiration, have faced situations where they weren't truly embraced. Winston Churchill, for example, despite being one of the most celebrated figures in British history, found that later in life, there were circles where his presence was tolerated rather than warmly received. Political shifts and changing ideologies led some of his once loyal allies to distance themselves. And rather than forcing himself into those spaces, Churchill chose to withdraw, directing his energy toward areas where he was still respected. Similarly, Elon Musk, one of the most influential entrepreneurs of our time, has often found himself in boardrooms where he was welcomed only for strategic reasons. After Tesla's rise, traditional automakers invited him to discussions not because they respected his vision, but because they feared his disruptive influence. Musk, understanding this dynamic, often chose to operate on his own terms, instead of seeking approval from those who didn't genuinely value his presence. This ties into the Stoic wisdom of Epictetus, who warned against seeking validation from others. He famously said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This speaks to the idea that true self-respect comes from within, and not from the acceptance of others. If a person or a space doesn't genuinely welcome you, forcing your presence into that environment only diminishes your own self-worth. Steve Jobs provides another powerful example of this principle. In 1985, he was ousted from Apple, the company he had co-founded. The boardroom, once his domain, became a place where he was no longer wanted. Instead of harboring resentment or trying to win back approval, Jobs left and went on to create something new. When he eventually returned to Apple, he came back as a leader, no longer seeking validation from those who had once rejected him. The lesson here is clear: if a place does not welcome you, you do not belong there. No matter how much history or duty ties you to a family, a group, or even a home, Your dignity should always come first. Your presence should be cherished, not merely tolerated. Walking away from spaces that drain you does not make you weak, it means you understand your worth and recognize that true power lies in choosing where you invest your energy. 2. The home of those who constantly complain and drain your energy. Some homes are not sanctuaries of warmth and love, instead, they become breeding grounds for negativity. When you step inside, you can almost feel the weight of frustration, bitterness, and resentment hanging in the air. Instead of engaging in meaningful conversations or sharing uplifting moments, you're met with an endless stream of complaints about politics, the economy, their job, their family, their health. Nothing is ever good enough. The words spoken in these homes act like slow poison, subtly eroding your peace of mind. Buddhism teaches that emotions and energy are contagious. Just as spending time with joyful, mindful people can elevate your spirit, being around chronic complainers can drain your energy. The Buddha warned against associating with those who spread negativity because over time, you begin to absorb that same energy and it alters your own perspective on life. The effects of a negative environment are not just spiritual, they are psychological as well. Neuroscientists have discovered that our brains have mirror neurons, cells that make us subconsciously mimic the emotions and behaviors of those around us. So when you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, your brain begins to adopt their patterns of thinking, whether you realize it or not. Many successful figures in history have had to distance themselves from negativity to achieve greatness. Barack Obama, for instance, was surrounded by critics and naysayers throughout his presidency, people who were quick to point out problems but offered no real solutions. Rather than allowing their negativity to consume him, Obama focused on optimism and long-term vision. His ability to filter out the complaints around him allowed him to stay focused on his mission. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, has often emphasized the importance of surrounding oneself with positive, forward-thinking people. He avoids those who complain about the market, government policies, or financial difficulties without offering solutions. Buffett understands that pessimism clouds judgment and limits the ability to take action. In the tech world, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, made it a priority to distance himself from negativity. He fostered a company culture that prioritized innovation over dwelling on failures. Had he allowed chronic complainers to dominate his environment, Amazon might never have grown into the global powerhouse it is today. Many people unknowingly allow negativity to seep into their lives, much like May in a real-life story. At first, it may seem like harmless venting from a friend or relative. But over time, that toxic energy accumulates. You start dreading visits, feeling exhausted after interactions, and even catch yourself mirroring their complaints. The key to protecting your peace is recognizing when someone isn't looking for a solution, they're only seeking to spread their misery. They thrive on negativity. And no matter how much light you bring into their space, they will pull you into their storm. Your emotional well-being is shaped by the environments you expose yourself to. If you continuously subject yourself to homes filled with complaints and negativity, you risk becoming part of that cycle. Choose to spend your time with people who uplift you, who challenge you to grow, and who focus on solutions rather than problems. In the end, while you cannot control the mindset of others, you can control how much access they have to your energy. Walking away from toxic environments isn't selfish, it's a necessary act of self-preservation. 3. The house where you are only needed, not appreciated. Some people keep their doors open, but only when they need something. Their hospitality isn't driven by warmth or genuine care, it's transactional. They call on you when they need a favor, invite you over when they require your resources, and treat you kindly only when they see a benefit for themselves. However, when the roles are reversed and you find yourself in need, they suddenly become unavailable, indifferent, or even dismissive. This type of relationship often masquerades as friendship or family duty. You may believe your presence is valued, but over time, a clear pattern emerges: your worth in their life is directly tied to what you can provide for them. This is not a real bond, it's a calculated exchange. Psychologists refer to this as opportunistic relationships, where one person continuously gives while the other primarily takes. Over time, the giver can feel drained, unappreciated, and even used. Studies on social reciprocity show that one-sided relationships can cause long-term emotional distress, leading to feelings of resentment and self-doubt. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, warned against wasting time on people who take more than they give. He advised, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others, unless it has some positive benefit." The Stoics believed in self-respect and intentional relationships. If a connection is built solely on what you can offer, rather than mutual care, it is not a real relationship but a form of servitude. The Stoics spoke of indifferent things that should not disturb your peace. A relationship based on utility rather than respect is an indifferent. The best response is not anger or frustration, but clarity, recognizing the truth and walking away with dignity. Even some of the most powerful people in the world face this issue. Elon Musk, for instance, has amassed incredible wealth and influence as the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. Over the years, he's spoken about how difficult it is to distinguish genuine relationships from opportunistic ones. Many people want to associate with him, but often, their interest is tied to what he can provide, whether it's investments, partnerships, or publicity. This is why successful individuals often keep their circles small, surrounding themselves with those who value them beyond their resources. Oprah Winfrey has also addressed this issue in interviews. After achieving massive success, she learned to be mindful of the people who entered her life. Many wanted to be her friend, but their interest vanished when she couldn't offer financial or career support. She had to learn to distinguish between those who genuinely cared and those who only saw her as a resource. Consider the story of Rosa, an elderly woman who frequently visited her younger cousin. Each time she arrived, her cousin had a request, whether it was a small loan, advice, or help with chores. Rosa, being kind-hearted, always helped, believing it was the right thing to do. One day, Rosa needed assistance moving some heavy furniture. Expecting the same support she had always given, she called her cousin, but the cousin made excuses, saying she was too busy. That was when Rosa realized the painful truth: their relationship wasn't about mutual care, it was about what she could offer. This moment of clarity changed Rosa's approach. She stopped visiting as often and redirected her energy toward relationships that were truly reciprocal. The lesson is simple: if a relationship is sustained only by what you can give, it is not a true connection, it is a transaction. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the ability to walk away from one-sided relationships without guilt. True relationships are built on mutual appreciation, not obligation. Surround yourself with people who see your worth beyond what you can provide. 4. The home of those who disrespect you. Respect is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. It allows people to connect on a deep, meaningful level. And without it, relationships become shallow, harmful, and ultimately unsustainable. If you find yourself in a situation where you are invited into someone's home but treated with disrespect, through belittling comments, manipulation, or outright insults, it is essential to walk away. This behavior should not be tolerated under any circumstances. Some individuals believe that they can treat others poorly due to their position in the relationship. They may assume that, because you are older, younger, or family, they can speak to you however they like. They may dismiss your opinions, mock your beliefs, or even use your presence as a source of entertainment. This type of dynamic is toxic, often stemming from the disrespectful person's own insecurities. They attempt to control or diminish others to feel more powerful. This pattern is common in relationships where one person feels entitled to treat the other poorly without consequences. Take, for example, Steve Jobs. Known for his brilliance and visionary leadership, Jobs also struggled with how he treated those around him. He would often belittle his colleagues, manipulate situations for personal gain, and dismiss opinions that didn't align with his own. While his genius was undeniable, his behavior was a reminder that intelligence and power do not justify disrespect. Jobs' relationships with many employees were strained, and he later admitted that he could have treated people better. His behavior reflected not just a lack of compassion toward others, but also a lack of self-compassion. Buddha's teachings offer profound insights on how to handle disrespect. He emphasized the importance of self-respect and self-compassion, recognizing that allowing others to mistreat you only compounds their negative karma and perpetuates the cycle of suffering. Buddha's idea of protecting one's dignity goes beyond standing up for oneself. It involves recognizing your inherent worth and refusing to accept anything less than kindness in your interactions. By tolerating disrespect, you not only allow others to diminish you, but you also deny yourself the opportunity to live in peace. True peace, according to Buddha, comes from within, and we should set boundaries that protect our emotional well-being. This may mean walking away from a situation or person who continues to disrespect you, even if they are family or longtime friends. Choosing self-respect over obligation is an act of self-compassion. Take the real-life story of Mr. Chen, a retired teacher. He frequently visited his nephew, who often made sarcastic remarks about his age, his slower movements, and his outdated thinking. Initially, Mr. Chen laughed it off, thinking it was just harmless teasing. But over time, the disrespect became more frequent and more hurtful. His nephew dismissed his stories, mocked his beliefs, and made him feel small. One day, after another round of belittling comments, Mr. Chen made a decision: he would never return. He realized that by continuing to visit, he was allowing his nephew's disrespect to drain him emotionally and diminish his sense of self-worth. Mr. Chen understood that respecting himself was far more important than maintaining a relationship that caused him pain. The moment he made the choice to stop visiting, he felt lighter and more at peace. His dignity was no longer compromised, and he no longer allowed someone else's negativity to dictate his mood or self-worth. The lesson is simple: do not tolerate disrespect, no matter the relationship. Your peace of mind and dignity are far more valuable than any obligation to maintain a connection with someone who continuously disrespects you. This principle can be applied across many aspects of life. It's easy to fall into patterns of enduring mistreatment, whether in family dynamics or professional settings, because of a sense of duty or obligation. However, respect is non-negotiable, and should be the foundation of all relationships. By setting boundaries and standing up for yourself, you protect your emotional well-being and model for others how to treat you with the respect you deserve. As we grow older, we gain more than just years, we gain wisdom. Every person, every place we choose to be, has a profound impact on our emotional well-being. So why spend time in environments that drain you, that make you feel less than who you truly are? Protect your peace like the precious gift it is. Choose to surround yourself with people who uplift you, spaces that nurture your soul, and relationships that are built on mutual respect and kindness. In a world full of distractions and demands, it's essential to honor your own energy and prioritize your inner tranquility. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever visited a place that left you feeling worse than before? Share your experiences with me in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can learn from each other's wisdom and support one another in our journey toward peace. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Peaceful Horizons. I'll continue to share wisdom on living a peaceful, fulfilling life, one choice at a time. Until next time, remember to protect your peace and always walk through doors that lead to light.